Welcome back, everyone.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it's episode 5. And we're exploring something very fun today.
Yes, Will, we are. And I'm still as terrified as ever. It's been a while since we've been able to record.
Yeah.
But the plan has remained the same. We're going to be talking about the same thing we told you we'd be talking about last time. And to stay true to, I guess, getting my initial reactions, I've not looked up anything. I've not read a single word about anything.
Well, that's great because I've got about 10 pages worth of stories here just for you.
All right. And I don't want to ask, but I guess you got to tell us, what are these stories about?
Okay, these stories are about the legendary creepypasta, the Rake.
The Rake.
Before we get into him, let's talk about creepypastas for a second.
I was about to say, let's discuss that a little bit.
So as I said in the intro, creepypastas are really just started on message boards. How old do you think they are, Jared?
I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like maybe like 2009, 2010-ish, but I feel like it's way early and it's going to surprise me.
You're actually pretty close. I think it's like 2003 to 2005.
Okay, perfect.
I think mostly it's like 4chan.
Okay. I never got into 4chan.
It's kind of like Reddit, right? It's like it's
so.
Just I have no idea, honestly.
I don't really understand how either of them work, but
so what a creepypasta is basically people on the internet getting together in a message board, or I mean, even now I think like on YouTube or wherever, and they just create stories. And I think
a great thing to do with the community, but they're
especially on the internet, of course.
Yeah, they're using their powers for evil, though.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, I think you could pretty much write all of them off as fake. But
that's the thing with creepypastas. I think like they're there to be scary, but they're also there to make you think, hey, this might not be a made-up internet story.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, a group of people get together, maybe not every element of the story is true, but somebody's telling like, oh, yeah, this is a true folk legend from my heritage or whatever, and they just gonna insert those little grains in there that you never know.
No, I mean, true. Just like with any other, like a ghost story or like a cryptid, even some creepypastas are a lot more believable than others. Some of them are just, they're scary, but it's like it's scary insofar as like, it's not real.
Right.
So it's just trying to be horror. So like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And not knowing anything about the Rake, I feel like this is the latter, and I feel like it's going to be one that I'm going to believe 110%.
I'm telling you, the Rake is actually pretty believable.
Oh my god.
Not in that it's like, yeah, like this stuff has totally happened, but in that like
there's been sightings.
If you believe Bigfoot or like another kind of cryptid, you'd have to say the
it's time for me to put my money where
unlikely.
my mouth is now, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, to give like an example of a couple creepypastas, I think the most popular is probably Slender Man.
Yeah. The Slender Man.
We talked about him a little bit. He's had a great run.
Honestly, he's an OG.
Yeah.
He's up there. He's a cool guy.
He's pretty cool. I mean, maybe not to the...
He doesn't say much, but...
Yeah. Leaves a lot of notes.
Yeah.
He's a fan of... Wow, I don't know if you heard that, but...
Too fast, too furious out there.
Yeah. It's like the speed limit is 25 out there.
He's getting to 25 in 0.25 seconds.
That's right. But anyways, oh man, I hate those people. They completely take me out of my train of thought. But he's a fan of older forms of communication. I'll just leave it at that.
He's a letter writer.
Yeah. One of those guys.
A true gentleman.
You know what? I think a lot of the people that were really into Slender Man, especially they've turned into those true gentleman type guys, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tip the fedora. Milady.
Wrong generation.
Maybe. What are some other... Do you have any more popular ones? I know a few, but they're not like... I know more so the ones that are like...
Yeah, I think...
haha, scary.
there's the Russian sleep experiment. And that one's pretty popular.
Yeah, that one's not haha scary. That one freaked me out. That one's pretty scary.
There is, and then on the gaming side, you've got Been Drowned.
That's what I know.
Zelda.
Yeah.
Then there's
Sonic.exe.
Yeah, all those .exe.
Yeah,
stuff. I mean, I don't know what the original one was, but
photorealistic Mario. Blood dripping from his eyes.
But then the other one is Lavender Town. I always forget it. It's the one I always forget about. But that's another one.
That one, that's a creepypasta? I thought that was real.
That's a creepypasta. That's how good it is. I think.
Wow. I thought
I thought
kids in Japan really were
committing suicide because of a. Let's see.
Oh, I guess a warning. We might be talking about suicide.
That's something that I was going to get to today. We're going to be talking about some pretty graphic stuff. So once I get into some stories, you might want to. I mean, I'm not going to take anything out because I don't feel like that's in the spirit. But it's a fair warning.
I gotta hear it. You gotta hear it.
There's some pretty gruesome stuff. Nothing like awful, but definitely some kind of trigger stuff if it's not your thing. Let's see.
Nothing can degrade my psyche down any further. I've seen it all. Okay. I will say, I mentioned this to my brother. He's 7 years younger than me. I mentioned that we're going to go over the Rake. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he had a reaction to it. And I was like, oh my, you know about this? How have I not? I'm sure there are tons more popular ones that I don't know about, but I've seen the picture you showed me the last episode we did. And that's my extent.
I totally forgot to put it in my notes. I was focused on the stories, but there's some very creepy pictures out there that I found. There's some I think what's worse is the drawings. Those always get me more than like the pictures. Cause I'm like, someone.
Yeah.
But also Lavender Town is a creepypasta.
Wow. They fooled me with that one. I thought that was real.
I thought that one was real for a long time before I ever
that's kind of blown my mind a little bit.
But that's creepypastas.
I feel like I just found out Nelson Mandela didn't die in prison.
Who knows?
Those are creepypastas.
Those are creepypastas. And today we're going to be focusing on the Rake. And Jared doesn't know what the Rake is. He's gotten little seeds of information last week and throughout the week as I've sent him messages from my COVID-addled brain.
Yeah, but That was the universe telling you probably shouldn't do this to me.
Yeah, no. I literally looked up the stories the other day to actually compile them in my notes, and I was like, man, I'm scared all over again. I'm not sleeping tonight. And the funniest thing is, I have the feeling that maybe you're gonna get scared, but I don't think that it's as scary as I think it is.
I feel like here's what I think. I feel like it's going to scare me in the moment, and then the adrenaline of hearing it for the first time on the episode is gonna kind of calm me down a little bit, and then I'm gonna go home where I just have my thoughts.
Where it's just the thoughts of
or I'm gonna pass a house or something, and there's gonna be a rake, like a garden rake, propped up, and I'm gonna see it, and then it'll be like a scene from a movie where I see the actual rake, and then I'm like, huh. And then I turn around and it's they're in the bushes or something. But hopefully none of that happens, and this is just a fun time.
It's funny that you mentioned a garden rake. What do you think? What do you think the rake looks like? Let's start out with that.
Well, I wish I had never seen that picture before.
Yeah,
so
seen the picture, but
I think it's some weird. You ever seen the movie The Descent?
Yes.
About all the girls that go down into the cave and get terrorized by those cave monsters?
Yes.
Reminds me of a cave monster from that movie.
Okay.
It's a weird, golem looking creature, but evil.
Okay. I think you're in the ballpark. Because I've wanted to see that movie because it has I've seen the scene that I think you're talking about, and I'm like, that terrifies me. Because
in The Descent?
I think so. I've seen a clip of
both of those movies, honestly, pretty good. For You'd think they'd be like a cheesy horror movie. They're surprisingly really really good. Both of them are.
Yeah. So before we get into like some actual stories, I'll give you a description that I've compiled from like different sources.
Okay, perfect.
Mostly a few different like articles here and there, like mostly from the wiki, like the creepypasta wiki and a fandom website. So the Rake is a humanoid creature that's somewhere between a human and a hairless dog. It's usually described as being unnaturally lanky and always hunched over. Some descriptions include razor sharp claws. That's where it gets its name, the Rake.
Oh, God.
They're at the end of arms that are much too long for its body. Where descriptions are most accurate and they agree mostly is on the face. Creature usually has a blank face, meaning it has no eyes, or not no eyes, no nose, sorry. No nose and two piercing eyes. There's a little disagreement on this. Sometimes they're being described as completely black and sometimes being described as white orbs. When provoked, this creature can unhinge its jaw to reveal sharp teeth. It usually doesn't have to use these teeth because it prefers psychological damage to physical.
Okay. Mind games from Mr. Rake.
So before I get into the story,
I will say I'm kind of I'm not actually disappointed, but I've been so curious to why they call this thing the Rake. And I thought it'd be a little bit more than just the claws. Still terrifying.
Well, I mean,
very Velociraptor-esque.
There's a little bit in the stories here that maybe is like a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm thinking of what else a rake is used for, and I'm like, well, I can think of a few things that replacing a rake with claws from a scary animal beast would make it terrifying. So I'm still curious to see.
So I guess while I'm gonna kind of set you up on this because we'll get into the story in just a second. I'll kind of give you a rundown of what the style of the Rake. So the Rake is basically a supernatural creature that chooses to torment people in their sleep, kind of. So to put it this way, the Rake has every ability to kill you, as I've said. It's got the razor sharp claws and the teeth and whatnot.
Unhingeable jaw.
But
piercing blank stare.
What people tend to describe is waking up in the middle of the night and seeing this sitting at the foot of their bed, just looking. I've
seen this photo before too.
This one always unsettles me. So I'll just leave that there for you while I kind of set this up. So they see this at the end of their bed, and they usually feel.
You don't have this set to like jump scare me, do you?
No, absolutely not. I'm not that terrible.
I will say I had Dorado today, and it might not be pretty if it jump scares me. But I'm going to try to stare at this thing for a bit.
So, like I said, you wake up in the night and you see this. There's usually people feel one or two things. They might feel a little bit uneasy naturally. I would feel very uneasy, I think, and some people just
don't feel good right now.
Seems to be that there's like some sort of mental connection, which leads people to believe that this is maybe not an actual state of being awake, but rather a dream state where they are seeing this being at the foot of their bed. And usually this will happen multiple nights in a row and continually wear down the individual psyche until they just can't take it anymore. And usually the way that it prefers to kill is to drive its prey to suicide.
Drives you insane.
Basically. So
just by... I won't try to ask too many questions right at the beginning. So that's just insane to me.
I think I've got 3 total stories here. They kind of like vary in length. This first one is pretty short. It's just that's actually a suicide note.
Oh gosh.
From 1960.
Oh my gosh.
This next, I don't know if it's a real suicide note. That's just where the story happens.
That's why it's a creepypasta.
Exactly. Next one is from a witness, and this is from 2006. And then this last story is not necessarily...
Is from me the other night.
Yeah, it's from me as I laid in bed the other night. But this one is not necessarily a Rake story. It's actually it's just a short story that's been on the internet for a while. But the description that I see here definitely kind of lines up with the Rake, and is equally terrifying that I had to include it because it's...
Let's go for it.
It's kept me up many a night whenever I was younger. Okay, so we're going to read this first one here. Again, heavy subjects. If you don't like suicide, don't like blood and gore, I would advise you maybe listen to something else. Go listen to the Bigfoot episode. We had a hoot.
Yeah, that one's fun. Holler. No evil in that one.
No. Okay, so settle in, Jared, as I read this. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him. For once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form, once again I awoke and heard his voice, and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might next awake to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Lenny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name.
Chills, bro. I just got chills.
So, like I said, that's pretty short, but
all right,
that kind of gives Lenny. You the ending stages. This is where it takes you. It seems
interesting.
Well aware
that I didn't think when you were describing it to me and you showed me the pictures before, I didn't imagine this thing spoke. That makes it 10,000 times more terrifying to me, because now that just makes you think of what this thing's voice sounds like.
Yeah. That is just a small, tiny little setup for this next story.
Oh gosh.
And this is told from the
also that first one gave me chills. The last line, Lenny, I pray for you. He spoke your name. That's a movie.
Yeah. This one is a Witness 2006. It's quite long, so settle in. I think we'll probably say this and then we'll talk a little bit about the Rake, and then I'll read the last story because it's a little bit tangential, but it's fun nonetheless.
Okay.
So this one's long.
We'll get settled in here.
Okay, and I've practiced this, but I will definitely stumble, so excuse that. Okay. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he had got out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for a half second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, were what appeared to be a naked man or a large hairless dog of some sort. His body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, it was not instantly frightened by it, or I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot away from my husband's face.
Oh, no.
The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just seemed like it took a while. Just looking at my husband. The creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran into the hallway, leading to the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the Rake." My husband drove his car into the lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. They did not survive. Being a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now referred to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be accounts of the Rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journey had an entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages, and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited any of us before our last summer. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling around in my bed each day when I woke up. By the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the... I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording at 8 times the normal speed. This still took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and I now believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I've not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me again.
You know what sucks about all this?
What's that?
I was telling Jordan this the other day. It doesn't matter if I have to work, if I have to get up early or anything. I'm all the time waking up at 5:30, 5:40 in the morning. And I've really not thought twice about it. But it's going to change now.
It's going to change. You think so?
Yeah, because I'm not going to want to... I'm not going to open my eyes, you know what I mean? I'm not going to want to get up and go to work.
Yeah. It is terrifying. I think
that is so freaking scary.
Yeah. And I think, once you get the description of the creature first, it's not as bad, but then once you think about seeing that at the end of your bed
and
just sitting there.
And the idea that your first thought might not even be to be afraid. It might be curiosity or to want to help it.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I want to know more about its voice and how it sounds and what it says. I'll have to read some more.
Yeah, that's the longest story that I could find. I'm sure there's more just buried on the internet somewhere. There's been recently, as 5 years ago or whatever, I think there's been some sightings, caught on tape kind of stuff. I don't think you can put a lot of credence into that. I decided, I figured that we should talk about it here because it's New York is where it starts, but you see sightings in Pennsylvania, Ohio, in the Appalachian region, and even New York has some of the Appalachian Mountains. So I think that still really counts.
And I think people might not think that talking about a creepypasta, which you could argue that everything we've talked about so far could have the same level of believability, but I'm sure some people would argue that creepypastas are kind of what it's kind of like a gimmick, you know what? But at the same time, this sounds similar enough to and you said it yourself, it's a supernatural story, it's a supernatural creature.
Yeah,
and we've talked about that before. We've talked about omens and bad omens of death. That could be what the Rake is.
Yeah. And I think that if you think about just the way that like cultures are, you can't really throw out one story or a group of stories just because they're newer.
Yeah.
And who's to say that they are newer? I mean, stuff, the stuff that's been written down was verbal at some point. We don't know how old it was to begin with. So who's to say that this isn't just the first occasion of people actually writing these experiences down or passing that along in a written way?
I mean, it very well could be. You'll never know. I don't.
Plus, and I also think the spirit of it is just to, I mean, it's not necessarily fun, but just, get like the ideas in your head of like something that could be out there.
And it's, even if it is 100% fake, it's cool to see people be creative.
Yeah.
I've never been a big, like, super fan of like horror or like scary movies, books, shows, or whatever, but if you can find one that like is well done, like that was well written.
Yeah.
Like that's what matters. Like that's why I like Hill House so much, The Haunting of Hill House. Like that show scares me half to death, but it's such a gripping, I guess, an emotional story, because the Rake deals with a lot of emotional, traumatic stuff. And there's believability in all that.
Yeah, because I think it's especially just like it's torment, right? Like,
and there's something so menacing about something that could just end it for you like that, but it's choosing not to.
Yeah,
there's something just like so.
Yeah, it's so pure evil, and just it's hard to explain the level of like if you put yourself in that mindset of like, I'm seeing this thing right now. I know that it could do anything that it wants. I'm completely at its mercy, and yet I know the eventual outcome, but for some reason right now
I want to help it.
Yeah. I want to pet it.
Come here, buddy.
Oh, did you get hit by a car, little dog?
Yeah. You okay there, you little humanoid dog creature? Which form looks unnatural?
Humanoid, anything that's humanoid just freaks me out. But especially, and I imagine like, because I imagine that it runs kind of like this. So like,
when it scurries to the bed, anything that scurries like that.
Because I get like this image of like, like kind of like the way a monkey moves, like, like kind of
jerky.
Yeah. But like a little bit more fluid, but also at the same time, like more unnatural, with really long limbs and really skinny and really tall.
Probably moving really freaking fast.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Gosh. I imagine it's like, I guess it would have to be, imagine like a really skinny, decrepit, like gorilla or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe a big chimpanzee. The unnatural arms thing is what. Yeah. That's. Ugh.
I think what like comes to mind whenever I think about it is Until Dawn. I know that's a Wendigo.
Yeah.
But that kind of like portrayal, I feel like that's exactly what the Rake is. But it's also like another point to give it credibility, I guess you could say, is like it could just be some other supernatural, being from another culture. So, Native Americans have the Wendigo that's described, somewhat similar. They have other supernatural creatures that are described somewhat similar. If this is just something like that, but just in a different area that someone has seen,
And you never know. It could also be one of those things where maybe the first public acknowledgement of the Rake was real, and poor that person, but everyone on the internet thinks it's a creepypasta, so they're going to just make other. And maybe it's one of those ones where you have to kind of like weed out the real stories versus the fake ones.
Yeah.
And again, that is what's pretty cool about creepypastas. I know they're kind of, you can meme on them a little bit, but at the end of the day, we all read them and were scared out of our minds.
All the same.
So, I mean, they done what they are supposed to do. I don't think you can argue with that.
For sure. And then, so I think, I'll read you this last story. This last story is fun. This is one of those stories to where like there's no way that the person live to tell the story kind of situation.
Perfect.
But it is.
This is where we're weeding out the fake ones.
Yeah,
because those first two are believable.
But if you want to just suspend your disbelief for a second, this one's terrifying. Absolutely, just
okay. I'll suspend my disbelief.
If I can tell this one right, it's pretty scary.
Okay.
I've been lying down for hours now. It's 5:35 a.m. and there's not much I can do. You know what the worst part about my situation is? I'm in the same room with my parents. They keep looking at me and I can't help but look back and try not to cry or scream. Their eyes are focused on me and their mouths are wide open. There's the strong scent of blood and I feel so paralyzed with fear. Here's the thing. The second I make any hint that I'm not asleep anymore, I'm completely fucked. I will die and there's nobody around to save me. I've been trying to think of a way out, but the only idea I have is to rush for the door and run outside and scream for help, hoping any neighbors hear me. It's risky, but if I stay here, I'll surely die. He's waiting for me to wake up and see his masterpiece. You're probably wondering what's going on. I do get ahead of myself sometimes. About 3 hours ago, I heard screaming from the other side of the house. I got up and went to check on the noise before realizing I had to use the bathroom. Instead of doing the smart thing and investigating, I used the bathroom first. I could have gotten myself killed right then for my stupid actions, but I actually did my business and took a peek outside the bathroom door. There was blood on the carpet. I got very worried and ran back to my room, hiding under the sheets. Like the coward I was, I tried to convince myself to just go back to sleep. This was some really vivid dream or something like that. But I heard my door open. Like the child I was, I peeked from under my blankets to see what was going on. I could see something dragging my dead parents into the room. It wasn't human, I can tell you that. It was hairless with no eyes, no clothing. It walked like a caveman with its back slouched as it dragged my parents. But this thing was much smarter than any caveman. It was aware of what it was doing. It propped my dad up on the edge of my bed and made him face me. It sat my mother down in the chair and positioned her towards me as well. It started rubbing its hands upon the walls, staining them with blood, and then drew a circle with the devil's pentagram in it. The thing had made what it would probably call a masterpiece. To finish it off, it scribbled a message onto the wall that I could not read in the darkness. It then positions itself under my bed, waiting to strike. The scariest thing now is my eyes have adjusted to the darkness and I can actually read the message on the wall. I don't want to look at it, but it's terrifying to think about. But I feel I need to see it before I'm killed. I peek at the creature's masterpiece. I know you're awake.
Golly. That's so good. That's actually really well done. I'll say this too. That would have been believable to me had it not done the pentagram, I think.
Yeah.
That's what's
A little bit too far.
Yeah, anytime a creepypasta is like,
And then there was the devil.
and then there was the, yeah, you know what? Written in blood.
It opened its mouth and said that it was Satan and every demon in hell.
Yeah. If it would have just done, I know you're awake.
Yeah.
If like he knew something was written on the wall, but he didn't know what, and then it wasn't. Yeah, that would have been good. That's terrifying.
That is a short story that's been on the internet for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in the original story it's a man that like kills his parents and then writes that on the wall. But this one I don't know if he adjusted it, but Jacksepticeye like literally did a reading of this.
Oh yeah.
In 2013. This is how old this is.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember watching the video whenever I was a child. Absolutely terrifying. I don't know.
That's insane that I've never. If it's been around the internet for that long, I'm surprised I've never heard of it.
I'm pretty sure it was pretty old whenever.
Before, yeah. I might have to go back and I wonder if he's still got that video up.
He does. I watched it earlier today to get the story.
I might check that out just to see.
Yeah. But
because I don't think I ever got into the. I don't know if I ever watched people read them on YouTube, but I definitely most of the creepypastas I've quote unquote read.
Yeah,
I've listened to on YouTube.
The strangest thing about that one is like of course he's not like a that kind of YouTuber anymore, but like even then like that, I think that is literally the only video of something like that where he's like just narrating a story. It's very interesting. I remember when it came out, I was like,
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want to do any more after that one.
God. Let's see. So now I think we'll try and line it up. I mean, what are your final thoughts on the Rake?
Well, are we gonna ask like what's your theory for creepypastas? I feel like that's an okay.
I mean, I feel like
have theories on them.
Yeah, that's
what they're for, I guess. My theories on the Rake. So I know that sleep paralysis is a real thing,
right?
And I have heard that you can hallucinate and see things during sleep paralysis.
Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
No. That was me knocking on wood because I think I would rather like jump in a pit of venomous snakes.
Yeah.
Sleep paralysis is one of the things that freaks me out most.
It's pretty terrible, I will say that.
Have you experienced it?
I experience it regularly.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I'm going to like not want to experience it so much that I'm going to force myself to experience it, and it's going to be terrifying.
I will say I'm one of like the more like lucky people when it comes to sleep paralysis, as like I don't yet, and this is the strangest thing. So my sleep paralysis usually occurs. It started happening 3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
But it'll usually happen like if I go to sleep, I can't. If I wake up, this is now why I have to get out of bed. I can't stay in bed.
Right.
So if I wake up, say it's like a weekend or something, and I don't have anything to do, and like I wake up at like 8 or 9 or something, and like that's a reasonable time for me to get up, but I choose to be like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. Whenever I go back to sleep, I think it's because I'm still like there's no reason for me to go to sleep, and I'm still kind of awake.
Yeah.
My brain will flip on, like it'll start up, and I'll be like, okay, I want to get up now, but I can't move my arms. I sleep on my stomach, so I'm usually like face down, and I can't
move my
arms. But that being said, the past 6 to 8 months or so, it's occurring like it normally does. But if I sleep on my back at all now, like I'm talking like just period at all, doesn't matter if it's in the morning or I will start to experience sleep paralysis where I feel things around me. I can't open my eyes, but I can feel things.
I always hear the worst stories is when like people have fallen asleep on their backs.
Yeah.
And that to me is just terrifying.
Yeah.
It's crazy that I didn't even know you experienced that. That's
I haven't talked about it much just because it's like really weird. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's such
Does
a
it
weird
scare
feeling.
you? Like, is it, have you gotten, do you know what's happening? Do you know that you're in sleep paralysis, or is it?
So it's kind of strange. If I'm sleeping, like if it's like the mornings when I wake up and go back to sleep and I'm like sleeping on my side or my stomach, I'll usually I'll freak out for like a second where I'm like, man, I need to move. And then I'll be like, okay, it's sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Just breathe into it. Usually if I take like a deep breath and like start focusing on like either my fingers or my toes and just like start moving those, my brain will kind of like catch up and everything will wake up. But sleeping on my back, and I have to make a conscious decision every time I go to bed. I'm like, do not sleep on your back, because now this happened, I think, it was right whenever we moved into our new place. So it might have been like had something to do with kind of the stress of that.
True.
But I was sleeping on my back, and this has now happened, I think 4 or 5 times. And I started having like sleep paralysis, but like I couldn't open my eyes. I knew I was in. Is so weird. This is the hardest thing to explain. Like I couldn't open my eyes, but I could like feel everything in the room. Like I could I could see.
It's almost like you could see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Murdock style.
Yeah. And then like I felt like there was like somebody like coming into the room and like breaking in, and like I was trying to wake up and I couldn't move, and I was like yelling, but I was actually yelling in real life. Like Kinley woke up because I was yelling and like had to like wake me up, but I wouldn't wake up because I was in sleep paralysis. I was already technically awake.
Yeah.
My brain just hadn't caught up. And that's happened a couple times since then. I think
gosh.
the most recent time I had like sleep paralysis, and like I felt somebody like come into the room and they were like pointing a gun at me, is like what I thought was like happening. And like I don't have any guns in our house, but like I had like my hand under the pillow and like I could feel a gun, and I was like trying to reach it to fight back.
Bro, that's insane. Yeah. Are you still hearing like weird noises at your place?
Yeah. Like there's like the
occasional like normal weird noise, I guess.
Yeah, nothing like
that's nothing too bad.
Ramped up or anything.
I was just gonna try to piece together something to scare you as bad as I'm gonna be scared tonight. But no, that's honestly quite terrifying.
Yeah.
So I understand that like you are technically awake, so you can't wake up, but you know how they say never to like wake up someone who's sleepwalking?
Yeah.
I guess that's different with sleep paralysis.
Like,
it's okay, like I guess the stimulation of someone else also trying to get you awake makes your brain try to catch up quicker.
From my understanding, it's a disconnect between like your brain is awake, but it hasn't sent the signal. Like the part that controls your muscles is not turned on yet.
The body is so insane.
Yeah. So like your brain is like awake and there's activity, but there's no like control of your muscles. So like, but then the weirdest thing is like, and I think I'm no like, I don't know, neuroscientist or whatever, but like, yeah, I think it's like there's like a small amount of activity in like the part of the brain that controls the muscles that you feel like you're trying your hardest to move them, but you can't. So
I imagine that's such a helpless, terrifying feeling.
It's pretty bad. I think the first time I experienced it really scared me, and then I kind of got used to like that. Because
I really do think I'm going to conjure it. Conjure it into existence on myself somehow.
I really think watching Hill House made me experience it.
Oh gosh, yeah, with Nell's sleep paralysis and the bent neck lady.
I think like. So like obviously on my back, like the scary thing is like I feel people are in the room and stuff. Yeah. But like whenever I was sleeping on my stomach, the scary thing is like whenever you're asleep, if you're like on your stomach and your face is kind of like just a little bit covered with like the pillow, you don't know. You don't know that like the air is a little bit, thicker or whatever, and you're still like getting plenty of air, so it doesn't matter. But as soon as your brain is like awake and you're like sucking in air and you're like a little bit startled and then you can't move, it's very easy to start
like hell,
panicking.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's insane.
Like the only thing I can like advice that I ever like say is just start like if you know what's happening, just
breathe.
Try to stop whatever like panicking you're having and just start
don't
breathing.
Freak out. Golly. Now just imagine that and the rake sitting at the foot of your bed.
That's great. I will never sleep on my back ever again.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want you to sleep on your back. I don't want you to be scared, Will. I don't know if it was the second or I guess it was the third one you read. The opening line is, I've been awake, or I'm awake now. It's 5:35 in the morning.
Yeah.
Cut to 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, so I've been waking up around like 5:20, 5:40 every morning.
Oops.
I'm gonna have to try to find maybe a few more Rake stories though, because, like I said, they're well written.
Yeah.
Believable or not, I mean it's fun to read anyway.
Ooh. This is not. I figured here in a minute we would do our classic. What we've kind of been doing is looking at like different media.
Yeah.
Rake. And
no Rake movies.
There is one, and if this is a screen cap from like the movie, does not capture, in my opinion, like what the Rake like looks like in my mind, but is terrifying. Like just absolutely insane.
Okay. You have the photo?
Yeah, I got it.
What the heck? Oh my god. A scary tale of the creepypasta coming to life.
Coming to life.
That That looks absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I would. Now, if that's sitting at the end of my bed, I just hope it killed me.
I'm like curb stomping that. The bloody teeth are going to look a lot bloodier when I smash it with a hammer. That was terrifying. I was going to ask if there's been any Rake movies. If not, maybe we should do like a short.
Yeah, that would be fun. I don't know what
psychological horror short.
Take a lot for the Rake, though. I don't know how we would get a really skinny friend in a skin suit.
I'll make some calls. I know some rakish people.
Yeah. So what's your theory? What's your theory on the creepypasta here? What do you think about it?
Yeah, okay, so rewind back to I know that sleep paralysis is real. I know that people go through that. I believe wholeheartedly that people have probably experienced sleep paralysis and have seen something quite similar to the Rake during their sleep paralysis. Which that's real to them in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See, I don't know if I want to come right out and say that I believe it, but like, it's believable to be. Yeah. And even if you want to like look at it through a scholarly literary lens, like the Rake could just be some sort of a symbolic, like, or some sort of like metaphor for psychological, not psychological torment, but maybe, you know, depression or
like mental illness.
Mental illness. Maybe it's a good metaphor for survivor's guilt. That one story about the dad and the daughter going into the lake, and she's maybe she might not have seen the Rake since, but she knows it's been in her room. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's always that nagging. And that's the scary thing about it. It's not that the Rake isn't persistent. It's a nag. You know what I mean? Like,
and like maybe if you take like a look at like mental illness, maybe that night the Rake was never there per se, but like something happened to her daughter and caused her husband to just, you know, like, I'm taking our daughter to the hospital. You stay here with our other child, and then they crash into the lake and die, and she's like should have been me kind of situation.
I believe in the supernatural. I think we've covered that. I do have a hard time believing in like supernatural entities that can physically harm you in that manner.
Yeah.
Like if this weird ghost creature, supernatural creature has claws, like, I know that it looks like it could, but I feel like if it's supernatural or a ghost or a demon or whatever, I don't think it should be able to physically like unhinge its jaw and swallow you.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that.
You know what I mean? No, maybe I take that back, because people get scratched all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that's like a common theme with like demons.
The three scratches. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I think I'm picturing it more. Not like when people get scratched in ghost shows, it's like someone with nails scratched down their arm or something. Yeah. And when I'm picturing the Rake attack this little girl, I'm thinking like velociraptor claw in the chest. Like, you know what I mean?
Her throat out or something.
Yeah. And well, in that regard, I think I do believe it, and I think it's just I think it might be maybe a manifestation of something inside the people who are seeing it. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, I can totally see that. I think I think that's a very interesting take and something that I didn't think of. So I'm just gonna say that I agree with you on that. That I think that it could be very well like a manifestation. But like my theory, at least for me, is like I don't think that maybe like necessarily the Rake in and of itself is real. I think that maybe there is something that, you know, we'll stumble upon, be it a Wendigo, Skinwalker, whatever. I think that there is some creature that fits very close to the Rake's description that is probably out there. It's probably a supernatural manifestation of or not necessarily manifestation, but like an omen or
just like the Mothman.
Yeah, kind of like the Mothman and I think that it could possibly physically harm you. I mean, it's hard to say, but I think that there is probably a creature in traditional folklore somewhere around here in the Appalachians, New York, wherever, that is definitely the Rake, but not the Rake.
Yeah, something that's meant to be menacing and for sure better than you, as insofar as like it can kill you.
Yeah.
But chooses not to. There's something omen-esque about that, I guess.
For me, as terrifying as the Rake is, and I absolutely will lose sleep over the Rake, but like I think it's a little bit too on the nose. Like, you know,
it's very stereotypical. Yeah. But then again, I think that's always the easiest. If you watch any horror movie and leave and Google blank and blank ending explained, it's always going to tell you that, oh, the ending of Hereditary is just the strain that a distant relation, you know what I mean? Like the distant relationship of a mother and daughter, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that part is fun to see and that it's fun to find out. But like when I watch Hereditary, I'm just worried about not pissing myself and losing sleep for 72 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But getting back to it, the Rake as a physical thing, maybe so much for me. I don't believe.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it is some form of like a manifestation of something.
Yeah. Even, because I think it's important to say, like, the brain can make up things that are very real to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can necessarily discredit that. I think you can be like, yeah, that's maybe not true for everyone, but for certain people, I'm sure they have seen something very, very real to them.
Yeah. And all it takes is that one time to look at the people about Bigfoot. They've had their encounter. So, and the same thing with ghosts too. I feel like if you've had your own paranormal occurrence, I guess you're more apt to believe more
apt. And I think, do you believe like, and maybe this is, an entire like other episode, but like, do you like kind of think that there are some people who are more, as far as like, like ghosts go, that are more, not necessarily, not going to call them like mediums, but that they are more
absolutely
susceptible, open to that kind of stuff?
I think so. I think like empathy, empaths. I think empaths are, that's a proven thing. Like that used to be kind of a funny thing to talk about, but being an empath just means that you just feel emotions more than some people do. And I feel like probably like the next level above an empath is to probably be able to feel the energies, not from just the physical person next to you, but from like the energy around you. Because I mean, I don't think it's a hippy dippy thing to say that we're surrounded by energy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a given.
No, yeah, I agree.
Everything's made of energy. But yeah, I definitely think that there are people that are more susceptible to feel those kind of things.
Yeah. I agree. So, to lighten it up a little bit.
Well, did you have like a for sure base on your theory of the Rake? Was it just like a supernatural omen?
Just a supernatural omen. I think that
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
I think it's maybe like an omen, but I definitely think that while it may not exist in the form that it's described, I don't think it's got claws.
Yeah,
I think that it is probably some manifestation, but
it might be closer to that. Yeah, closer to that first picture of just the thing that didn't look harmless. I was more curious about the first one. The other ones I'm not curious about. I'm like, get the heck out of here.
Yeah. But maybe like an adaptation of a more traditional folklore creature that may very well exist, and I would totally buy into that. And
Yeah.
from the stories that we've read, maybe they are complete, figments of people's imagination, but I think that there's got to be some little bit of truth somewhere.
I'm sure there is, to some extent.
And I mean, that's another thing. Like, you think all stories are some, like, even like fictional stories are somebody's interpretation, or like they're drawing from some
There's always some truth
source.
to any story. Dang. I enjoyed The Rake.
Yeah. Let's see what movies he's in.
Yes, please.
So we've got this, and so far this is the only thing that I'm really finding, is this 2018 movie called The Rake, and that's a terrifying image. I mean, wow, that's gory. It's man missing his face.
Holy crap.
I don't even know where that, like, what.
James A. Janice, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
Now, is this the one with the scary lady rake?
Yeah, the one that I showed Jared a few minutes ago, it's like a bird. It's like everything that I described, except it had like long hair and kind of like a beak instead of no nose.
Yeah, it looked like a weird
Bird kind
chicken
of
lady or something.
Yeah. Which is terrifying.
It is terrifying, but this dude in the picture now is like,
just missing his face.
yeah, it's like melted off. He's got like goop all over his hands.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like blood and face goop. I don't know.
Face goop.
It's not my rake.
Yeah.
Talk about the psychological torture, man.
That's
I'll
pretty
just
terrifying.
melt your face off. Ooh, the giant hand of the rake.
Those claws don't look sharp enough.
Big meaty claws.
My God. See, the problem with this.
This is too monstery.
Yeah.
This goes a little bit more above humanoid. I wouldn't call this a humanoid creature. I just call this a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, like, to me, the rake is so terrifying because it's like you look at it and it is skinny and like
the rake
spindly.
Yeah, I feel like I should should be able to look at the rake and it be close to being my size, maybe a little bit taller, but like definitely just like super decrepit and skinny and a little bit long. This is the Rock. He put on like a monster outfit.
But I think that's the thing that makes the rake scary is like you look at this thing and it's like skinny and decrepit, but like there's this sense of just like superhuman ability.
Yeah.
Like you look at the claws and like they're attached to this.
Yeah. The rake. I feel like it should look like it shouldn't be able to pick up its claws because like its arms are so weak.
Yeah, but then it does.
But then it's like
yeah,
scurrying around.
Exactly.
Also, if The Rock really did play the rake, I'd love to see the poster because his name would be above the title of the movie, so it would just say The Rock, the Rake.
The Rock, the Rake. Let's see, is there any
The Rake, starring The Rock.
We got some like nice production shots here. I mean, can't
now that's just a film crew doing their job right there. And there's a guy with his eyeball missing on set or something like that.
And I mean, they're just sitting there. It's all natural.
He's having a conversation.
Yeah.
Really, just only the one movie, maybe?
I'm looking. I can't really. Oh yeah, let me just search IMDb and maybe.
Or maybe it's like you said. Maybe there are movies about the Rake. It's just not called the Rake. It's called something else.
Also, like I think,
it's probably the.
I honestly think that the Descent may be like that creature may actually be the Rake, like their interpretation of it. But
now, well, I will say those creatures don't really share a lot of similarities other than look wise. Like they're like blind, but they have like an acute sense of hearing where they've been in the caves all their lives, and they're just like I think they wear like loincloths.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I remember. There's another movie, and
are they naked or do they wear? Now I'm psyching myself out. I can't remember if they have like little. Oh, they're kind of naked, I guess.
Kind of naked.
Maybe
it's not The Descent. I know The Descent is like very similar in like look, but there's another movie that I know. Oh, man, It's killing me. And I don't think it's about the Rake either. I think it's just very similar.
Trying to think. There's a movie, it's like a found footage horror film, I think, called Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters?
I always see it on Netflix, and it has like a similar looking creature, maybe. Very like spindly, bug-eyed, freaky looking thing.
Grave Encounters is a 2011 found footage supernatural horror film.
Dun dun
Dun dun. I think our light just died.
And so are we.
Oh no. Ghost Hunter Lance Preston. What a name.
I'm Ghost Hunter Lance Preston. And I'm gonna kill the Rake.
Welcome to. Oh hey, that guy. Is this what you're talking about? Grave Encounters 2?
Yeah,
Right
that guy. Yeah, Grave Encounters 2. That fun looking fellow.
Dylan Playfair, Sean Rogerson, Richard Harmon.
Sean Rogerson is the fakest name I've ever heard. My name is Bill.
What color
Wilson.
is it? What colored shirt do you think Sean Rogerson's wearing?
What color shirt?
Yeah.
Blue.
It's green. He looks like Sean Rogerson if I've ever seen a Sean Rogerson.
You know what? He does.
It looks like he's straight from 2004. It's the hair.
He does look oddly familiar, Sean Rogerson.
Colin Minihan. Howie Lie.
Did you say Howie Mandel?
Howie Mandel and Grave Encounters.
And Howie Mandel as the Rake.
Howie Mandel as the bald man.
Didn't even have to get in the makeup.
This is...
For the bald cap, he doesn't look like a... Howie Mandel was a good-looking guy. He doesn't look like a spinely demon spawn.
Oh, nice. There's a nice review on basementrejects.com.
Nice.
Yo, this photo is... This is... like not even,
I feel like Grave...
It's not even scary to me. It's just funny, kind of.
That looks like a picture from like the Scary Movie franchise, kind of.
Yeah. Well, like it kind of like
Looks like Sean William Scott.
looks like that, or like a haunted house that you like go to like in the fall. Like
I will say I might have seen like a few clips from this movie, and it's definitely done so in a way where like if I feel like that would be scary if you watched it,
yeah,
because it's all in like the green, night vision camera. And
what do you think its Rotten Tomatoes score is? This is for 2. I'll look at 1 as well.
For Grave Encounters 2.
Yeah,
It came out in 2004?
2012.
2012. I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 27%.
Close, 20%.
Okay, cool.
Let's see what's.
Yeah, it comes across as maybe one of those movies that
It might be fun to watch.
yeah,
but I don't think it's got very much substance.
what does anymore in cinema these days?
It's true. Well, and it may not have a lot of substance because Grave Encounters and Grave Encounters 2 came out 1 year apart.
Oof. I wonder if I bet Grave Encounters 1 is better.
Both have Sean Rogerson, both playing Lance Preston.
We might have to watch these just for Lance Preston, Ghost Killer.
Hey, Grave Encounters. What do you think the first one got?
I feel like it probably has like a 54.
Something like that's 67.
Whoa! Certified
Yeah.
fresh. Okay. That explains the year apart. They were like, okay,
Yeah, we gotta.
yeah, well, let's pump out another one.
Pump this stuff out. Let's make some money, man.
Sean Rogerson, are you in?
Hey, Sean, what other movie gigs you got lined up?
Nothing.
See, I'm doing a commercial like next year.
Yeah.
They already told me I'd get it.
Shooting an ad for Zyrtec in May.
Clear your calendar.
I'm free until then.
You're gonna have to tell Zyrtec to shove it. We're about to make some money.
After this movie, Sean, you can get all the Zyrtec you want. You're gonna make millions, baby.
Showbiz. Yeah, it's good. The second one has a 5.1 on IMDb.
We might have to check these out at some point.
It's difficult to do because of copyright law and all that, but I know Scared to Death does it, but like if we ever get enough followers, like a special show where we just sit down and watch movies, like watch it like horror films.
I won't talk about this on air in case we actually do it, but when we wrap up for the night, I got a few things I'll talk to you about.
Okay.
I think might be cool.
Coming soon.
You're coming soon. The Rock. The Rake.
The Rock. The Rake. Jared. Will. What's your theory?
Also starring Ryan Reynolds.
Of course.
Did you see where he came out and was like, guys, I promise I'm definitely not in Doctor Strange 2.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he's like when Andrew Garfield promised that he wasn't in the new Spider-Man, it's like, yeah, he might be telling the truth. But like Ryan Reynolds being like, guys, I promise. I'm like,
let me just say
dude, you are Ryan Reynolds, like you are Deadpool. I don't believe a word you're saying.
Let me just say this. Tom Holland's terrible liar.
Oh yeah.
Tobey Maguire, he doesn't even talk to the media, so like I mean there's like
yeah, he's just been kind of
no, let me finish this. I'll circle back around to that. But then like Andrew Garfield, he did an amazing job lying for and
he was like,
it's been long enough. People know they're in the movie.
Yeah. Come on, if you've not seen it. It's the third highest grossing domestic film. It beat out Avatar.
I didn't know that.
Now Disney has all 10 highest grossing movies, I'm sure.
What a lovely world
they own it all.
But he did such a great job lying.
Yeah, man.
But and then like Tobey Maguire is so like closed out from the public. On Reddit, there was somebody who literally got a picture with Toby and asked him,
like in Central Park or something. Like, was he like sitting on a bench or something like that?
I can't remember. Like,
I feel like I've seen something similar.
And he like asked him nicely, and if you ask Toby nicely, he's like genuine. He's only a jerk if you're a jerk to him, kind of thing. But like, and he was like, yeah, sure. And then after they took the picture, he was like, so are you in the new Spider-Man? And he just winked at him. And like the guy posted on Reddit, and everybody was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's just like that. And this honestly might be a fake story too, but I always hear that story about there was a guy at like a McDonald's or Burger King or something, and he sat down to like eat his meal or whatever, and then someone came over and just grabbed his burger and took a big bite or like a handful of fries and ate it, and the dude looked up and it was freaking Bill Murray. And Bill Murray just looks at the guy and was like, no one's ever going to believe you, and then just walks away. I can't, like, I've read this story so many times, and I'm like, that's such a Bill Murray thing to do, and I wholeheartedly believe it. But at the same time, like, if this is a made up story, this is genius.
Yeah,
this is genius.
Oh, man, I love all the Bully Maguire stuff. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
I hate when people, and this is just going to turn into like a
he's the real Rake. I was about to say Bully Maguire,
but
as the Rake.
But like, I hate when people on the internet get so like bent out of shape about people, especially him. Like whenever he's like mean to paparazzi or whatever, it's like,
there's that one video going around where like they're blocking the freaking road, and he can't see to get out, and he's like,
I can't see. You guys got to move back. I can't see. You got move. Of course. What
out of the way? It's like anybody would do that.
What else is he supposed to do?
Exactly.
Say move again. They clearly didn't get it the first 7 times.
Yeah, you can't run them over. That's bad.
Yeah.
You got to get out of the wherever you're going. You know what I mean? Yeah. Screw the paparazzi, man.
Yeah.
Those guys suck.
Yeah, I know. Well, they should just hide in the bushes like I do whenever I take pictures of celebrities.
Yeah. Or at least, like, why don't we just take all the paparazzi, drop them in, like, the woods? We're bound to get pictures of something that we've never seen before.
The Rake.
Exactly. One paparazzo should be in every person's domicile to capture photos of ghosts and ghouls when they sleep.
I don't know if I'd like that.
Yeah, everyone gets their own paparazzo.
Paparazzo. But from what I can see, the Rake is not in any media. He's not a. So apparently, we need to be calling The Rock, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Ryan Reynolds at this point. Start working on this Rake movie.
Honestly, that'd be kind of dope.
Yeah,
that's a good cast.
Yeah.
Maybe
Who plays what? What's the movie about?
no. We got to add some. This is too much guy. It would just be a testosterone filled. The problem solving would be, well, when you wake us all up, and then we'll just kill it. There would be no
but then
voice of reason.
It's got to be a story that challenges normal masculinity, and yet there's a full male cast.
Gender flip it. We make the Rake a girl.
Okay.
Like the chicken lady, but we make her look better.
Okay.
And she's played by Uma Thurman.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to think of maybe Tilda Swinton.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of gangly, good gangly actors.
Okay.
Tilda Swinton would be good.
I gotta look. 'Cause I don't even think I've ever.
She's the White Witch in Narnia.
Yeah. You are right.
I think she would play a good one. She's also the ancient one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I saw where Kevin Feige was like, yeah, we probably should have cast an Asian person for that Asian role. That was bad on us.
Our bad.
Yeah.
Retcon.
Yeah, really. It might be in Multiverse of Madness now.
That's very true.
They do all sorts of that.
Well, that
appearance of the Rake in the Multiverse of Madness.
Does the Rake? I think that there might. Now this is completely I'm making this up, but I'm almost certain there's a comic book or something that the Rake is in that made an appearance.
I'm sure
briefly.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's a whole plethora of horror comics that I'm probably too afraid to get into.
Speaking of, the Japanese do great horror comics.
Yeah,
I heard.
Yeah. Japanese horror is a whole other ball game that it's too scary. They know that the scariest thing to do is to put a little girl with hair in front of her face at the end of a hallway, and everyone will.
They're too good at that.
Yeah.
Really is the scariest thing. I don't know. Children are just terrifying.
The Grudge, bro.
Never seen any of those movies.
Consider yourself lucky. Yeah, for real. Those movies, I watched them too young. I was never allowed to, but when my parents watched them, and I definitely caught clips of it, and I'm just ugh.
You see, because those are the movies it's The Ring or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's you watch it's a meta movie. You watch this movie and then it's going to happen to you kind of situation. Can't do that. Sorry. I don't like Tempting Fate.
Yeah. There's all those movies that are supposed to be cursed, but you can stream it on Amazon Prime. And it's why would I?
Yeah.
Why would I do this?
Well, it's just Amazon is literally the devil. So
yeah. Ugh. Well, anyway. Is there any other movies, games, TV shows, or anything?
There is a game I know. I think there's a couple of games, but that's the most popular. Do you know the Bigfoot game?
It's just
okay. So
is it on Steam? Is it a PC game?
Yeah, it's on Steam. And it's the same developers. I think it's just called Bigfoot. Sorry, you can't search Bigfoot on Google and expect a game to come up. Sorry, my bad. Give me a second. Bigfoot game. Yeah, it's just called Bigfoot.
I think I've seen a Let's Player play it before
a couple of years ago, and then so I think there's definitely a few little Rake,
Easter eggs.
Yeah, EXE games. But let me see if this came out before or after. Oh, this came out before, so it precedes the Bigfoot game. Oh, they're completely different studios. Never mind. They're very much similar styles. Okay, so the Rake is kind of like a Slenderman-esque kind of game. Basically, you are a team of investigators, and you go into this park where the Rake is said to be seen, and you get access to cameras and all this stuff, and you have a base camp and all that, and you set that up, and you just watch out for the Rake, and you have to collect stuff to beat the game. And the Bigfoot game is very, very similar.
Yeah.
But the Rake looks like an alien in this game. Let me just
Alien Rake.
let me pull it up. Yeah. It's just a.
Oh no, it's just straight up an alien.
Yeah. Pretty fun.
It looks like it's a good atmosphere.
Yeah. It's decently fun.
All those horror games feel the same, but they're all pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's easy to get scares when you turn your brightness or field of view all the way down and have scary faces pop up every so often, I guess.
I think that those games in particular are a little bit more like fair than the Slender Man games. I think it's like there is like an actual way to win other than just like that's the thing about Slender Man, and I maybe I'm just like was just bad at the game, but like it just seems like chance, right?
Yeah, I just don't know why you'd want to subject yourself to playing it as much because I felt it wasn't. The pages didn't spawn in the same place every time, did they?
I don't think so. And then like there's just like he just kind of showed up randomly. Yeah. Like there's no strategy. Like it's just I could be completely
like if
wrong.
That's the case, is there a playthrough where you don't run into him at all and you just win the game?
Yeah, I've played the there's like a bigger like well developed Slender Man game.
Like Awakening or whatever, Slender Awakening, or was that just the sequel to Slender?
Might be Slender Awakening. Slender the Awakening. Decently.
Because I want to say it had like better graphics, if I remember. It looked like it got a little bit of a better budget behind it.
That's Slender the Arrival.
That's okay.
So
is Slender Awakening a thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think it's like the original.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it is like, I mean, it's a Slender Man game. It's got a little bit bigger of a budget, but it's fun, and I think it's like had like a path that was not just
up to fate.
Yeah, I think because it had like a couple of different like. There's this one like genuinely scary area where you have to go like into like a bunker or whatever, but instead of Slender Man, it's like this slender child, like girl, like thing. Like, let me just.
I didn't know there were other slender beings.
It's on the cover like that there.
Ugh.
Yeah, so like it's like in a hoodie and it's like in like waiting in the dark, and you have to like I think you shine your flashlight and she runs away or he or whatever. But yeah.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all.
But yeah, that's the Rake.
I did get scared. That's not me putting on for whatever. I did get legitimate chills during all those stories, and it's like I said, I think I'm going to play it cool now, and I'm not going to be as scared now. But when I get ready for bed and
if you wake up at
eventually, inevitably wake up at freaking gosh, I'm not going to be able to. I might have sleep paralysis. I don't know.
Yeah, don't sleep on your back.
I'm just not going to sleep at all.
It's fair. It sounds like a good plan.
I've been awake for 3 days.
Starts hallucinating
the Rake.
There's no escape. No. Yeah. Okay, so that's the 5th episode in the books there.
That was enjoyable too. That was a little bit different than what we normally or how we normally do it, but I enjoy that style of episode, I guess, if you want to call it that. But
yeah,
if you all enjoyed it too, I guess let us know somehow.
Let us know. I mean, I feel like most of the people who are listening are people that we know at this point, but even if not, And
if it's something that people are interested in, I'd like to do more like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe find I've got a few stories that I'd like to read myself and maybe talk about on the show. If I can find some cool things, it'd be cool to bring those on and read them. I
mean, I think I'll just say this. I mean, the show is very much malleable at this point. Like, I mean, of course, I want it to be our show, but like whatever the audience whatever you guys decide that you want.
Yeah.
You know, you like better, if you like this style, or if you like, you know, the other style where we just kind of stay around the subject. But I mean, you know,
Yeah.
If you like this style better, though, that obviously we'll.
I think we should definitely try it again.
Yeah.
Just for fun. I like the story aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Rate, review,
Good night.
whatever.
Have a good sleep.
Yeah, don't wake up at 5:35 a.m.
Don't dream of the rake.
Don't have sleep paralysis.